All right. I think we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second installment of Node-RED training. I'm Kyle, AA0Z. Hope everyone's staying warm. It was cold here in St. Louis. Got up to 14 degrees, but supposed to be in the 40s this weekend. So hopefully we'll get out of this cold snap. But tonight, we are going to install Node-RED and take a look at the dashboard. If you haven't gone back and taken a look at the first training class, we installed Node-RED. We installed the OS. We got that all installed and got the updates for a Pi installed. So you should be relatively updated on your software. You can always run that apt-get or sudo apt-get update and sudo apt-get install, or not install, update and upgrade, and that will update your Pi to the latest software that is installed on your Pi from the original OS load. So if you haven't gone back and taken a look at that, there's chapters and bookmarks in the description and also on the progress bar, so you can get to the things that you need to get to quickly. So tonight we are going to install Node-RED. So hopefully everyone remembers the IP of their Node-RED Pi and their username for the Pi user. If you didn't change the Pi username, the password, it's Raspberry, all in lowercase. If you changed it, I hope you changed it to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because after that, I am not of any help. So what we're going to do now is we're going to SSH into the Raspberry Pi with PuTTY. So if you open up your PuTTY session, so here's your PuTTY session, right? And you put the IP address, 192.168.1.114 is my Pi. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. And you want to choose, the default is SSH on port 22, so you want to leave that. And you're going to click the open button. And it's going to come up, and it's going to ask you log in. So I've already done that up here. You can see that I've highlighted it. Log in as Pi, and I've given the Pi my password. And now I am here on the command prompt for my Node-RED Pi that I'm going to install Node-RED on. So let me know if you've gotten to this point. And once I see some thumbs up or some I'm here, I'm good, we're going to move on. While you're at it, or while you're waiting, there is a web page that I want you to go to. The link is in the description. If it's not in the description, you got here early and I didn't put it in there before you clicked on, or I put it in there after you clicked on the video. So refresh your screen, but you'll want to basically, let's go to Google and let's type in Node-RED Raspberry Pi install. If you click, or if you search on that, your first option is going to be running on Raspberry Pi Node-RED. You can click on that and it's going to take you right to this page, right? So the link's in the description below. You can search it on Google. Here's how we're going to install Node-RED on a Raspberry Pi. All right? All right, I'm seeing some thumbs up. That's good. We're there. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to, Edward, you're going to have to catch up here, buddy. But yeah, we'll hopefully you catch up and we'll get you on the back end here. All right. This is how you install Node-RED on a Raspberry Pi. This bash script is all that you need, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to copy this bash script from the website. Gonna right-click on it and say copy. And then we're going to go back to our PuTTY window, and we're just going to right-click and paste that in. Doesn't matter if it's highlighted like this. We're just going to take that bash script. We don't have to put sudo. We don't have to put anything. Just going to take that bash script and click it into the window. And all you have to do is hit enter. And it is going to start the install. So it's going to probably ask you, hey, do you want to really do this? Yep, I want to do this. Correct, yes. And then it's going to ask you, do you want to install the Pi-specific nodes? You do, yes. So you want to click, or you want to say yes for that. So type in the word Y, or type in the letter Y. And it's going to go. KQ9L said, can I install Node-RED on a Raspberry Pi already configured with other ham radio or other ham software? Yes, you can. Yep. So go ahead and try that script. And it should install. So you can see that it's got this little status board that it's going through. Your status board might look different from mine because I think I've already installed Node-RED on this Raspberry Pi. I would get into the habit about once every couple of months, go ahead and rerun this script, and it will install the latest version of Node-RED. That's all you have to do. There's no special technique to upgrade. You just rerun the script, and it will automatically get you up to the latest version. And every couple of months, they release a new version of Node-RED. There's actually a YouTube channel with a guy who actually develops the back end of Node-RED. It's the official Node-RED YouTube page, and you can see him actually putting the code behind the scenes of upgrading Node-RED and pushing it out to the servers. Kind of cool. So, let's see. Do we have any questions in the chat? Nope. Looks like it's good. Yeah, KQ9L. You should be able to install that on any Pi. You can see it's going through here. It's checking off everything that it needs to do. All right, I am done. So once we get done with that, everyone give a thumbs up or a ready or a I'm good to go. And we'll go on to the next step. There's a few things that we need to do before we actually get into the interface. It's installed right now. It just hasn't started up. So we're going to type in some things to make sure that Node-RED starts whenever you reboot the Pi and it starts up automatically. Okay, Seth is good. What about some other peeps out there? Edward is good, I think. Still running on my Ancient 3. Okay, Paul, we'll give you a couple more minutes here. Don is good to go. Don probably has about 5 or 6 Pis already running Node-RED. Edward gave me the red, yellow, green light. Steve is good. It's still in slow mode. Ron says it's still in slow mode. All right. So, if you go back to the website, there is something else that you need to run. this auto start on boot, okay? You want to pick this first one, sudo systemctl enable node-red.service. You want to copy that, and again, go into your PuTTY window and right-click, paste that in, and hit enter. It's going to create a link that says, basically it says, whenever the Pi reboots and you start this thing up, automatically run Node-RED. Okay? That's all you have to do. So now we're going to reboot the Pi. So to reboot the Pi, sudo shutdown -r or #r or -r now. I think you could probably type reboot now also. Let's do a sudo reboot. I think you can do that too. And hit enter. And it's going to tell you that the remote side unexpectedly closed the network connection, which is correct. I can see it over here. It is now rebooting. So after we reboot here, we're going to make sure that everyone's on the same page. What you can do is you can clear that, and you can go back up here to the bar, the Windows bar. You can right-click, and you can say Restart Session. And hopefully it grabbed the same IP as you had. And see, it's already up. Going to log in, Pi, my password, and I'm up and running. So I believe ps.aux shows a little tidbit here, all of the processes. Oh, now it's huge. I can, Node-RED, here we go. It's running. You can search for Node-RED in this list of processes. And I think we're up and running. So, I know my IP address for my Pi. So therefore, I know how to get into Node-RED. And I'm going to wait until people get up here. Still waiting on to come up. Okay, Paul, we'll wait here. Sometimes those Pis take a little bit longer to reboot. Edward says mine is stuck. So Edward, tell me where it's stuck at. Is it stuck at the install, or it's stuck? Where is it stuck at? Because if you're running an older Pi, it might take a little bit to. Paul is good. Seth, mine never seems to reboot correctly. I always have to pyrocycle it twice. Yeah, it's weird. You know, Seth, I had a Pi like that a long time ago too. It could never reboot. You know, Seth, you might want to re-image it and start, you know, after you get it up and running and go through all the checks and balances here, you might want to reboot, or I'm sorry, re-image that thing and just start from scratch. But I don't know what else you've got on it. You might, you know, that might not be an option for you. Okay, so what we're going to do is, I think that we just it's stuck rebooting the Pi. That's odd. Well, Edward, you're going to have to, I'm not really sure what you mean by that. But anyway, I think Dave just updated the wiki for the first part of what we did here. So if you come down here to install Node-RED for Raspberry Pi, we did this. We ran this script. We did this sudo systemctl enabled. And then because we rebooted the Pi after we issued this command, we told the Pi to start the service whenever the Pi reboots. So now here's the caveat to this wiki is if you don't have a Flex radio, you don't have to install .NET 5.0 or FrStack. If you're just going to use this for, let's say, rotor control or switching antennas or doing, powering your shack on and off, and you don't have a Flex radio, you don't have to install .NET, and you don't have to install FrStack. If you have a Flex and you want the extra functionality of loading the Flex nodes and controlling your Flex via Node-RED, go ahead and install the .NET if you feel brave enough, and the FrStack, which is another wiki per the wiki instructions, and that should do it. But again, if you don't have a Flex and you just want to control like your Elecraft amplifier and your KAT tuner and your bandpass filters and your antenna switches, you don't have to do any of the .NET or the FrStack, only for Flex radio. Okay. So, now let's get into Node-RED. Now that we've installed it, we're 17 minutes into this. We still haven't gotten into Node-RED. So, let's go to a browser. Go to your computer browser. I would not go to a browser within the Raspberry Pi. If you're running X Windows or it looks like a Windows screen on the Raspberry Pi, I would go to another computer, maybe your laptop, maybe your home computer, and pull up a browser. So now we're going to type in the IP of the Raspberry Pi that you've got. So my IP is 192.168.1.114. Okay. Then we're going to put a colon. And we're going to tell it what port we want to connect to. And the default port for Node-RED is 1880. So as soon as I click on that, here it is. Here's the home page to Node-RED. And it should bring up a tutorial on 2.1. You can see in the background. So let's see a thumbs up or a I'm good or a nope, I can't see it. Give me a thumbs up in the chat if you're there. Looking for Bill and Seth and Edward and K1 ESE. Good to go. Good to go. There's Steve. Good to go. Bill, what's going on? Good to go. Paul is good to go. All right. You don't have to quit PuTTY. You can leave it running in the background, but if you do quit PuTTY, you can type in like log off or exit, and it should quit. But yeah, you don't have to have PuTTY on anymore. We are done with all of the terminal command prompts. Edward, mine won't boot. Ooh, your Pi won't boot? That's bad news bears. Well, yeah, let us turn the power off and turn it back on and see if it'll boot up. But yeah, we're gonna move on here. So here's the tutorial. I haven't been through this tutorial in a while, so let's go through it together. So let's take a moment to discover the new features in this release. Oh, maybe it's just a new release. A new tour guide. All right, so let's click next here. A new edit menu. All right. Now, a few more things. Looks like you can cut and copy a group, select all and select none. Okay. Arranging the nodes. Oh, I didn't know that you could arrange the nodes. The new arrange section of the menu provides new options to help you arrange your nodes, align them in a common edge, space them out. Huh, had no idea you could do that. Looks like you can hide tabs up here. You've got a tab menu that's got a drop down that you can use, choose some options. Flow and group level environment variables. Flows and groups now have their own environment variables that can be referenced. Okay, I knew that. Okay. Their edit dog and the variable. Okay. Yeah, that's a little bit more advanced features. Environment variables are listed in this table, and the new ones can be added by. Okay. All right. Good to do. The link call node has been added. Oh, Lovelace. Back. Let's see. Hide. And I gotta ban them too. There we go. All right. Lovelace has hung out on many channels here. All right, the link call node. It looks like the mosquito nodes are hanging out too. File nodes renamed. Okay, sounds good. Deep copy option. Not really sure what a deep copy value is. The set rule of the new option creates a deep copy of the value. This ensures a complete copy is made rather than using a reference. Oh. It's not all, but here we go. All right, how are we doing, everyone? Let's see. Edward is still got some issues. Mine is stuck on tutorial 7:14. Clicking next does nothing. Seth, try and refresh your screen. Hit the refresh button on your browser. Try that. Keep in mind, this is a web page, right? This is not a program. If you get stuck, well, let's say you deploy something or you drag some nodes over and you don't hit the deploy button. Well, if you refresh the browser, it's going to lose everything. So just keep that in mind. So Ed, you're going to have to figure out, where you're at. Sorry that you couldn't get your Pi back up and running. I'm not really sure what happened there, but you might have to do some troubleshooting. If your card was corrupted, you might have to re-image your card and start from scratch. So, all right, we're going to hide this guy here. Not sure what that guy's doing, but let me remove. Okay. All right. How are we doing here? This is the dashboard for Node-RED, and what we're going to do here is we're going to go through some of the common things on this Node-RED dashboard. I know that everyone's kind of looking at the dashboard and kind of maybe doing their own thing, but I just want to go over the dashboard here real quick and point out some common things here, okay? So over here on the left-hand side is basically your palette. This is where all of your nodes that you load are going to show up, okay? So you can see that there are some preloaded nodes here that were loaded whenever you installed Node-RED, okay? Here in the middle is called your workspace. This is where your flows are going to hang out. You've got tabs along the top here, so you can add tabs by clicking on this plus button, which is above me here, over here, so I can add a tab. So I can add tabs across the top. And if you double click on these tabs, you can rename them. So you can go into the names property and call this my tab flow. And you click the done button and it renames the tab. Okay. To delete tabs, you double click on it and click the delete button. And they are removed. So just keep in mind, you can, if you've loaded a flow onto a tab, you can delete that whole flow by going into or double clicking on the tab name and hitting the delete button. We can't delete the first tab because you need at least one tab for the canvas. All right, and then over here is your sidebar, and your sidebar can be drug bigger or smaller, and you can hide the sidebar. To bring the sidebar back, you got to click on the arrow, and you can bring the sidebar back. Okay, the sidebar has got quite a few different things here. You've got these. Can you see them? Without my, oh, hang on. I'm going to move my emblem here. I'm going to put it over here. All right. So you've got these different icons over here, and you've got even more whenever you hit the drop-down menu. Let's go over these real fast. So the first one is information, okay? And when you click on these icons, different things are going to load here in the sidebar, okay? So the first one is information. It can give you information about the node that you're working on or you've got selected. The second one is the help. So let's say we've got an inject node. Well, whenever I click the help over here with the book, it gives me information about that inject node and how it works, okay? Let's bring over a debug node, okay? When I click on the debug node, you can see that the help changed to the help page for the debug node, okay? This third icon is the debug icon, and all of your debug messages will show up in this window pane. So let's just I'm doing a demonstration here. I got a timestamp that's going into a debug node. So if I deploy this, and let's configure this timestamp. A little more advanced stuff here. Let's configure this timestamp to inject a timestamp once at 0.1 seconds and every interval at 1 second. Okay. So if I deploy this and I've turned my debug node on, you can see that this timestamp, and this is epoch. This is not a timestamp that you're probably familiar with if you're not a Unix guru, but this is just this is the number of milliseconds from like May 1st, 1970 or something like that. Or maybe it's the number of seconds. I forget if it's the number of milliseconds or the number of seconds. But anyway, it's called epoch time. So you can see that that number is incrementing. And I'm seeing all of these messages over in the debug. Now I can turn off the debug by coming over to the node here and clicking this little button on the right-hand side and turning that off. And you can see that it has stopped showing me debug messages. I can clear those by coming up to the All button and clearing that window. Okay? Number of seconds from January 1st, 1970. For some odd reason, I was thinking it was May 1st or something. I don't know what I was thinking. But anyway, yeah, January 1st, 1970. So that's the debug window. This rotor, this gear, this is more advanced, but this is kind of the configuration of some of the nodes, and it will show you how many nodes are out there and how they're configured. More advanced topic. We're going to get into that later. This one that looks like a database. This is the context sidebar. And again, more advanced topics here. You can have variables. Whenever I say a variable, I mean you can have a, let's say you want to store the number of times that maybe you changed bands in an hour. Well, you can store that in a node, you can store that in a flow, and you can store that as a global variable. Let's say that number is 10. So whenever you store those variables, you can come over here and click the refresh button, and it will show you those variables that are stored per flow or per global in this window. So a little more advanced topic there. So the one thing that is missing here is the dashboard node. We need to install the dashboard in order for us to do some more advanced stuff. So, Edward's copying and pasting into the chat there. No problem, Edward. So, what we're going to do is we're going to come up to this hamburger menu, and we're going to click that. Before I move forward, is there anything any questions, comments, things you guys want to discuss? Because we're going to load the dashboard node, and we're going to get into the dashboard so you guys can start configuring and maybe loading a flow. So, if you're good to go, give me a thumbs up so we can move on. And we're going to load the dashboard node from we're going to install the dashboard nodes into the palette so you guys can start doing some bigger and better stuff. So give me a good to go here. Okay, Seth's good to go. My workspace has no grid. It has no grid. What? I'm not really sure what that means. Has no grid. It should have a grid. Let's see. I'm not really sure why it wouldn't have a grid. Okay, so everyone's kind of good to go here. All right, so hamburger menu. We're going to come down here to manage palette. Okay? So this is how you install nodes from the internet. Okay? Many people program nodes, they put them out on the internet, they put them in the repository, and this is how you load them from the internet. Okay? You can see that I have, you can see my palette here is selected over here on the left-hand side, okay? And here are the nodes that I currently have in use. What we want to do is we want to go over to install. And we want to type in dashboard. And dashboard is going to automatically come up. You don't have to hit enter. And it's going to give you a list of nodes that are related to the dashboard. Okay. What we want is this Node-RED dashboard, which is 3 units down, 3 modules down. Okay. Now you can get more information if you click on the I call it the yeet button. I don't know what it's called, but it's the square with the arrow shooting off to the upper right-hand side. And that's going to take you to a website where it's going to basically show you everything that it's going to install. It's just going to basically give you a wiki of all of the properties for that node, okay? So these are the things that are, this is the node that we're going to load. And whenever we load this node, it's going to actually install all of these other nodes as part of the dashboard. Okay, so let's go back to our Node-RED install. We've typed in dashboard. We're going to come down here to, the yeet button means an external link. Oh, I had no idea. I just called it the yeet button. Huh. Yeet, yeet. All right. So click on install on node-red-install. And it's going to come up here with a warning and say, hey, do you want to do this? And of course we do. So we click install. And it's going to go through the paces of installing this in the background through the package manager. So it came up with a little green dialog box and said those nodes were installed. So now you can get out of this by clicking the close button. And now if I come down here to the palette, I'm going to see, look at all those nodes. All of those nodes I just installed. Not only did I install all of those nodes, but if you come over here to the sidebar and you click the down arrow button, you're going to see a new option that says dashboard. And you can click that. This is where you can lay out your dashboard. And I've got a whole video on what all of the dashboard terms mean, tabs, groups, how you put nodes into the dashboard. That's on my YouTube channel if you want to go and check that out. It's in the Node-RED series. We're definitely going to go over this in the training class. But if you want a head start in dashboard nodes, you can go and watch that YouTube video that I did. It's about an hour long. But this is the dashboard, okay? So now you're probably asking yourself, well, I see all these dashboards on YouTube and on the web. How do I get to them? Well, there's a couple of different ways, right? So you can click the yeet button over here in the upper right-hand corner. Only on the dashboard will you're going to see this yeet button, okay? That is going to take you to another page. And because we don't have anything on our dashboard, it's going to set at this screen. But notice the URL 192.168.1.114, which is the IP address of my Raspberry Pi, colon 1880, which is the default port for the dashboard, /UI. Uh-oh, Lovelace is back with another. All right, sorry about that. The bots are crazy today. I'm not really sure. Seth asks, what did you click on to get here? I'm sorry. All right, so let's go back. So you're in your Lovelace. What is going on with the bots tonight? Remove. Good grief. Out of control tonight. Anyway, so all right, you are Seth, let me answer your question. So if you go to the dashboard, if you don't see the dashboard, you can click on the down arrow button and come down here and load the dashboard, okay? And that's going to bring you up to this screen or this sidebar. Then you can see the Yeet button over here. See it up there? It's up there. Click on the Yeet button. And that's going to bring you to the dashboard. So, just for grins here, I'm gonna drag in a text, and we're gonna, just so I can show you. This is a little more advanced. I'm gonna go through it quick, but we're gonna go through this in another video. So I'm gonna add a tab. I'm gonna add a group, and then I'm gonna put this guy in this group. I'm gonna hit done. I'm going to hit deploy. So now I've put this text dashboard node in a new tab and a new group. So if I click my Yeet button, that's where it shows up at. Okay. Again, I went through that way too fast. We're going to go through this in depth, probably in the next session. But yeah, that's how you basically add nodes to the dashboard and put them on the dashboard. Now, again, Ron's got a good point. If you go, let me just get to the dashboard directly. So 192.168.1.114 is my Node-RED install, :1880/UI, as in the user interface. Click, hit the enter button. There is the dashboard for Node-RED. All right. Any questions so far? We're going to do one more thing to get you up and easier. Edward says I have another one running with that IP. Oh. If you got an IP conflict, it might be tough. I drag the timestamp into the workspace. How do I get rid of it? Select it and just hit the delete button. So let's go back. Yep. So see how I clicked on the timestamp and I just hit the delete button. And let's get rid of the message payload. Delete button. Yep. And then you can see if I hover over, it gives you a little bit more information about the nodes. Okay. So the one thing we're going to do, we're going to give your IP. I'm going to show you how to make your Raspberry Pi a static IP. Two ways you can do this. And the second way, I really don't have a way of demonstrating this because everyone has a different router at their house. But if your router has DHCP reserve, that is a way that you can do this, where you select the Pi from a list of devices on your network. And you say, I want to give this Pi this IP address all the time, because your Pi might change IP addresses, and then you're hunting around on your network trying to figure out what IP address your Pi is assigned to. There's another way you can do it within the Pi, and I'm going to show you this. You might have to stop and start the video here a couple of times, but we're going to go back into PuTTY. So if you close PuTTY, let me get my... Oh, not that one. Hang on. Let me get this out of the way. So if you get back into PuTTY here, I'll wait for people to get into PuTTY. Give me a thumbs up when you guys are ready. Again, two different ways to do this. DHCP reservation through your router, or giving your Pi a static IP, which we're going to do now. Is it okay just to reserve that IP? It is. It is. Seth, you can go into your router and just reserve that IP. You can, but here's the caveat. If you reserve that IP, hopefully your router is smart enough not to give that DHCP address to something else. So, one thing to look up on your router to make sure that if you reserve an IP, typically the router is smart enough, so you don't have to worry about that. But you just want to make sure that if you do reserve something in the DHCP range, that that it's not going to give another device that same IP. Okay, so some of you already have probably done this or probably created DHCP reservations. That's great. Some of us have got some dumb routers here that that don't do that. So I'm going to show you how to change the IP. So you want to do a CD /etc, as in everything else. And it should drop you into that etc. Oh, Lovelace is back. My gosh, the bots are crazy today. I think they're probably hitting. The bots have been bad this week. I saw a couple other YouTube channels that were doing live streams get hit with the bots. So, all right. So, etc. And now, remember that ls command that lists all of the files? We're gonna do an ls, and we're looking for this file right here, dhcpcd.conf. dhcpcd.conf. So we got this. So now we want to do a sudo. So we want to issue this as the super user, and there is an editor called nano, N-A-N-O, that we're going to use, and then we're going to type in dhcpcd.conf. And that's going to bring up a editor that's going to actually edit the file dhcpcd.conf. Okay? And hit enter. And here is the file dhcpcd.conf. And this is just a configuration file, okay? So if you scroll all the way down, yeah, Don, they can't stick with Kahoot. Oh, it's so funny. So here is the interface. So if you have a wired Raspberry Pi, this is what you want to change, okay? You want to come down here to where it says interface ETH0. So ETH0 is your Raspberry Pi's Ethernet port. And you want to take out the pound sign, which means that it was a comment, and now you want to remove the comment. And you want to enable interface ETH0. See how it changed color there? And then here, we want to remove the pound sign, and we want to come over here. And here you want to give the IP address that you want to change it to. So I'm going to change mine to 192.168.1. I'm going to say 1.60. /24 means that it has a subnet of 255.255.255.0. Okay. Seth, if this is connected to Wi-Fi, it's a little bit trickier. Hang on, we're gonna take a look at if you're connected to Wi-Fi. Okay. This third line here, static IP, IP6. We're just gonna leave this not commented out. This static routers, right? So here you want to put the IP address of your router. So mine's 192.168.1.254. Okay. And then this last line, this static domain name servers, you want to come over here and probably put your router 192.168.1.254. And then .8.8.8.8 is, I believe that's Google's DNS server, and we should be good. Okay. So now, you want to confirm that it looks something like this with the correct spaces. And then you want to hit Control X. Control X is going to bring up saved modified buffer. You're going to say yes. File name to write. We're going to name it the same file name as what we were editing. Hit enter. And it's going to bring you back to the command prompt here. So now you can do a reboot, sudo reboot, and reboot your Pi. Now, it's going to come up as the IP address for the wired connection that you put in it. So I'm going to reboot mine. So sudo reboot. And it's going to tell me that it disconnected. So now if I do this restart session, it's still looking for that 114 address, which is incorrect. I re-IP'd my Pi to 192.168.1.60, right? So now I'm going to start a new session, and I'm going to bring the PuTTY configuration down here. I'm going to do 192.168.1.60. And then it's going to go through this host key. Can you see that? Hang on. Let's see. There it is. So it's going to ask me, hey, do you want to accept this host key? I'm going to say yes to this. And there it is. So that one's, let me blow this up for you guys a little bit bigger. Appearance, behavior, let's see. Window, change the font. All right. So let me make this a little bit bigger for you. So I'm going to log in as Pi. I'm going to type in my IP address or my password, and I'm back in. Just to make sure that all of, just to prove that I changed the IP address on my Pi here, you can do an ifconfig, and that will show you all of the interfaces on the Pi. If I make this a little bit bigger and I scroll up, you can see this ETH0 has now got an IP address of 192.168.1.60. Okay, so now if I come back to my Node-RED dashboard and I type in 192.168.1.60:1880, there's my Node-RED back up on the new IP address. So that is how you put a static IP address in your Pi. Now, there are a ton of ways to do that via YouTube. If you just type in static IP Raspberry Pi, you're going to find 10 videos on how to do that. So if you get lost, you can look up that. Now, I don't know if it was Paul or Seth or someone asked about Wi-Fi. There is a way to change your IP address on the Wi-Fi interface. I have not done it, so I don't know if it is in the DHCP CD comp file or if it's somewhere else, to tell you the truth, Seth. I have always had my Pis wired, but you saw there, I do have a wireless interface here, right? So it's 192.168.1.116. What I will do is I will research how to change the wireless, and I will put it in. I'll either link to a show or a YouTube video in the show notes down below, or I'll put it on the Node-RED for Ham Radio under Session 2, and I will. I can put some more info under that thread on how to change your wireless interface to a static IP. But the easiest way to do it is to do it by DHCP reservation, because your router will know, oh, that MAC address just booted up and I'm going to give it this IP address. That is the easiest way to give a device a static IP through the configuration on your router. So, Seth, I will research that for you today. It might be tomorrow before I get to it, but I will promise you I will put some stuff to get you started on the Wi-Fi to get that IP a little more static for you. Okay. Ron says you also should assign IP addresses outside the router's DHCP range so it doesn't try and assign. That is totally correct, right? So if your DHCP range starts at 100 and goes to 200, typically best practices say that you want to assign static IPs either below or above that DHCP range. Yep. All right. We're here at an hour. Try and keep this to an hour. Any questions, comments? Are we going too fast? Are we going too slow? What would you like to see next time? The next training session will be February 3rd at 8 p.m. You can comment in the thread on the group's IO string on what you'd like to see next. I've got some ideas on what we can do next. Obviously, we're going to get into some of the nodes and learning our way around the dashboard here, because this is where all the magic happens. Questions, comments? Had a decent crowd. Had about 20 people on the stream. It's a lot more than I thought. It's good. If you like the video, throw a like, hit the subscribe button. If you're, I usually don't do this, but it's if you want to donate something for the cause, I'd be appreciative, but not necessary. Not necessary. I do this channel to help others and to get them up to speed. And I don't do this for a living. That's good, because I'd be broke if I did YouTube for a living. The commission that the small amount of commission that I earn on YouTube, you could probably buy a candy bar a week. that's it. So, anything else? Anything else that you guys want to? If not, we'll shut the stream down. And thanks for hanging out. Hopefully, you learned a little bit more. Go out there for on the IO groups and load a flow. Go out there and do some experimenting. And just remember, if you load a flow and you don't like it, you can always come up to the tab here and delete it. Now, you might have to do some cleanup on the dashboard over here, but yeah, you can. I'm gonna eventually show you how to load projects in Node-RED, and therefore you can enable a project, you can create a new project, load a flow, and it won't mess up your flow from the previous effort, and that will be a way that you can load new stuff and test it out before you really put it into quote unquote production. So Don's got the POTA flow. Actually, Don, Seth, thank you, sir. I appreciate the $20 super chat. Thank you very much, Seth. Hopefully we can get you up and running quickly and get people up and running on Node-RED. Appreciate it, Seth. Don, you should see the new POTA flow that I'm working on now. It's going to blow the old POTA flow out of the water. So wait for that. Probably in a couple weeks, I'm going to release that. But yeah, if you're into POTA and you hate you hate that you miss all of your buddies working the POTA spots because they don't get spotted on the DX cluster and you don't have your ham alert configured, I'm writing a Node-RED piece of software that you can run on your Raspberry Pi that you can load this flow. You can load all your buddies' call signs, and it will send you an email or an SMS or a Discord or a punch bullet or a push bullet or basically a bunch of different ways to notify you, or Slack, the call signs that you want to be notified when they spot themselves. Or you can put, like if you're looking for Japan, you can put a country designator, or if you're looking for specific parks, you can put a park notifier, or if you're working specific states, you can put a state, and it will notify you of all of those parks on the air that get spotted through the flow. So I'm working on that. It's got a couple more iterations, and then I'm going to release it out on the groups for I/O with some database backends, but it should be awesome. I absolutely hate whenever all my friends go out and work POTA, and I never see them or never get notified them because they never get spotted on the main cluster. So therefore, I don't get notified through my ham alert. So hopefully that will be some benefit. And Don says, are you grabbing the data from Slack or POTA.app? No, well, I'm grabbing the data from the POTA API. That's where I'm grabbing the data. So, yep, got a couple more iterations, a couple more weeks, and I'll release that into the wild here soon. So, all right. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it. We'll be back February 3rd to do some more lessons here on the dashboard and to get you up to speed, loading some flows, and doing some more things. So thanks, everyone. Appreciate it. 73. We'll see you in 2 weeks. And on the Node Red for Ham Radio Groups.io. So, see you later.